What is up, everyone? TheAuscomando here, and here for the new remake of a Superman movie, Man of Steel, directed by Zack Snyder, the guy who made 300, another movie, I can't remember his name, and produced by Christopher Nolan, which surprised me quite a lot, to be honest. I was expecting a little bit of a Christopher Nolan touch to the movie, and I didn't actually know this until the end when it said in the credits, but he actually apparently co-wrote it with some other guy. So I'm just going to come out and say it. Man of Steel was one of my two most highly anticipated movies of the year, along with The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug. I was expecting pretty big expectations from the movie, and I gotta admit, it didn't really live up to the full expectations. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't the best. It really wasn't. It probably comes in around fourth, maybe third if it's lucky, for my top superhero movies of all time. But let's explain why it didn't reach the potential that I expected for it and what falters it from getting further. Now, Man of Steel is essentially a remake of the old Superman movies. It takes a completely different take on it. Okay, a completely different take on the movie. It gives more of a backstory between Clark Kent to how he was on Krypton days, and what his first impressions on Earth was, and how his family on Earth nurtured him, and how he became how he was of Superman. And this is basically that story. It explains all this on how he became this, which I got to say straight up, the actors and the casts that they chose for this character were mostly good, with the exception of General Zod. I thought that they chose the cast really well. I thought they did a great Superman. They chose Superman fantastically. Clark's dad, not his Earth dad, I thought, what's his name? Russell Crowe was alright. He wasn't bad. But definitely his Earth dad, I don't remember his name, but he's apparently a really well-known actor. I thought he was really good. He probably took the spotlight for any of the characters for me. I thought his do with the character was exceptional. Best of the characters. Second is Superman. They definitely did Lois as well. Lois was a great character that they picked. The mom was alright. She was pretty good as well. But General Zod, I feel that they did a misstep with him completely. He didn't feel that he was pretty bad at acting, to be the fairest I could put with him. The secondary antagonist probably took the spotlight in it. She definitely felt more threatening and what's the word I'm looking for? More just angry sort of thing. Like, she wanted this goal more than Zod did, and I don't know. She definitely took the spotlight a lot more for me than General Zod did. He just felt he just felt very bland. Like the character he was so set on this certain goal of just demolishing the entire Earth and rebuilding Krypton on it, but it really wasn't that big of a deal for it. I don't know how to explain it, really. He just wasn't very good at the role. That's the best I can put it, really. They should have thought of the character and the backstory for General Zod a little bit more. Russell Crowe, I felt he had some moments in there where put a smile on my face, but generally I felt a lot better of a connection with the father. Another complaint I have about the movie is there's literally no humor whatsoever, apart from, I'd say, the very, very, very end sequence of the movie, which didn't make me chuckle. It just put a huge smile on my face. A huge one, actually. That was apart from that scene. There was literally no humor in the entire movie. It was a very, very, not dark, but very unhumorous movie. I don't know how to really put it. Which, if that's the type of tone that they want to go for, then sure, by all means. But even with The Dark Knight, where it was meant to be a darker approach to this character of the DC Universe, they definitely did some humor in it, amongst it, which in this movie they had next to none, and I think they should have had a little bit more humor, just to lighten the mood a couple times. It's just my opinion again, but I didn't enjoy the movie as much as I expected because of these certain reasons, and that was one of the main ones. Along with the fact that mainly during the last 1/3 of the movie, there was literally just action. that last one-third of the movie just felt like one ginormous action scene with absolutely no point to what the hell's going on. I couldn't tell why they were even fighting. I can understand that, you know, they wanted this certain goal, General Zod wanted this certain goal, but why the fuck wouldn't he just wipe out the entire planet? I don't understand this. He has all these superpowers and he's too stuck on just killing Superman and doing this slow little time to take over the entire this little metropolis area that he completely forgot about the rest of the world, maybe, I don't know, but it just felt so stupid to me. I think they definitely should have thought a little bit more on what the goals for this character was and how we would approach this. It just felt downright stupid to me on why he wouldn't set a further goal and just do it a lot faster than what he did. I can understand maybe if they had the technology not to take over the world, but it even said during the movie towards the end of it that this machine can obliterate a planet in literally like minutes, I think it was. So I don't understand why he didn't do that and he took the slower approach to it. It really didn't make much sense to me. However, due to these special effects, I definitely think that because of them, they were really good. Probably the best special effects in a movie that I've seen yet to come. However, again, these took up the majority of the film, and a lot of the time I was more staring back and watching these special effects and more being like, man, they're good, but I don't understand why they couldn't have put more effort into the story or something that I'd actually like to see rather than these special effects, which I couldn't really care too much to see. Like, I felt like they just added special effects in there for the sake of it, just so they could say, oh, we have the best special effects here, stare at the effects for this long. And when you step away from the movie, just think of how good the special effects are. Forget about the entire story, forget about all the characters, just remember the special effects and that's it. Which I don't think is a good approach to it at all. I'm one of those people that don't really care about the graphics of a game, the special effects at all. I like a good atmosphere for a movie or game, setting the scene per se, but I don't think special effects or graphics should take up the majority of the film or game. And I think that's what they've done here. However, saying that, it does help the atmosphere a little bit on certain scenes, like the snow section, where that's another thing. Apart from that very end action sequence, where I sort of wish they had broken it up and was more split it between the movie rather than having one ginormous action scene at the end. Because the other 2/3 of the movie were literally just backstory, pretty much no action that I can remember during that sequence of the movie. It was more at the last 1/3 of the movie, which, well, for the 2/3 of the movie, I didn't feel as if I was getting tired and bored of the storyline. However, if they wanted to show off these special effects, why not split up that and more scatter it throughout it, just so there's a couple of them, just so it's not just that one ginormous scene at the end. I really didn't like that. I literally just sat there the whole time like this, and just watched the special effects as it went mindlessly through my head, and I was just staring at it. And it definitely went off way too long. Definitely. Not the movie length per se, but that very end sequence. It shouldn't have been as long as it needed to be, as it was, and that it needed to be. So I think they could have withdrawn a bit from that length and had it a bit shorter towards the end sequence. The middle sections I felt fine. I can understand some action-holic type person wanting more action in there, but I thought the majority of the 2/3 of the starting of the movie was great. I wasn't complaining at all. More towards that last 1/3 of the movie was where I started to fault the movie and started to get a little bit bored of it. That's really it. It was a good movie. It was a good movie, a good take on the Superman idea or characteristic. There wasn't much compassion or sympathy for the character per se. Like, I didn't feel any time during this character where I felt sorry for him, or I knew he was gonna win. Like, no, I didn't think at any stage during the movie, oh my god, he's about to die, he's about to die. I didn't feel that at all. I really didn't. It was just a bland movie with very predictable, I must say. During that, again, the last 1/3 of the movie, very predictable. The scenes that were occurring, I could have predicted straight away, and I was. During my mindset was set to this movie. I knew exactly what was happening because it's set up. They set up the first 2/3 of the movie that explained all the backstory, so pretty much you knew what was going to happen during the last third scene, and what do you know, it came expectedly as I predicted, and that really didn't lead to much excitement during the end of it, and the ending, I was a little bit surprised with that ending scene. I really liked what they did with it. I definitely felt a little bit more hyped for the next sequel, but I don't know. They could have done the movie better. They really could have. And this movie isn't for everyone. That's another thing. It's one of those movies where I actually went there with my brother. He was actually planning on seeing the movie with his girlfriend, but he dumped her anyway. So I went with him, and he especially thought that the movie was very predictable. I don't know. I thought it was predictable towards the last third of the movie, but he was saying that during the entire movie he thought it was predictable. I disagree. I don't think it was that the entire movie was predictable per se. Definitely could have been a little bit better written, but it definitely gave a backstory to the character, which is what I was hoping. That's what a lot of reviewers were saying, and that's what I completely agree with. This movie pretty much could be a story of Krypton, per se, or a story of Kal-El, not so much Clark. There was some scenes where it told you about Clark and what he was going through. Actually, there was quite a few of them. But I felt that was more to show off how he was fitting in with this world, how him being from a different planet, him being an outcast, was sort of affecting these people, how they were adapting to him, which was fine. It wasn't bad. I actually quite enjoyed it. So I don't think that was predictable at all. I wasn't expecting it, which is a good sign. Alright, now it begins. Final verdicts for the movie. Yes, that time again. Now, with everything considered, I will admit I am a tiny bit disappointed in the movie, but that's not anyone's fault. It's not the director's fault. That's more my fault for assuming a better expectations and just a better movie experience from it, which it didn't deliver. So that's my fault. I'm not going to criticize the movie for that. However, it does affect my score a tiny bit. Because in my mind, I'm saying to myself, give it a fucking 6, give it a 6, give it a 6.5, don't give it any higher. But it does deserve a little bit higher. I don't think anyone's going to give this movie a 10, not a 9, maybe an 8 if you're a fan of action scenes and you're a fan of this character. That's another thing. From what I've heard, I'm a huge DC Comics fan, especially Batman and Green Lantern, but I like Superman. He's a good suit. I know the general backstory for him, but I didn't know about what Krypton was even like. I didn't know that what his father, how his father saved his life. I knew that he put him in the space shuttle and sent him to Earth, but I didn't know why he did it. I didn't know that. I knew Krypton exploded again, but I didn't know why it was exploding. I didn't know what was happening at that certain time. I didn't know General Zod was friends with his father. I didn't know a lot of things. And now I know. Now I know about why this was all occurring, why he's at Earth, and now I know all this. So it has given me a lot of information about the character, and that's another thing with the backstory. That's what they did really well. So, like I was saying, back to the verdict, I would probably give Man of Steel a 7.25. On my scale, if you're not aware, I'll just do 5. From 5 to 10, 5 is average. Half people will enjoy the movie, half of the people won't. 6 is pretty good. About 60% of the people will enjoy the movie. 7 is good. 7 is 70% of the audience will enjoy it. 8 is fantastic. 80% of the audience will enjoy it. 9 is one of the best movies this year. Maybe even the best movie this year. Pretty much almost everyone will enjoy the movie, about 90%. And 10 is best movie ever made, and it's definitely not that, or a 9, because I can tell you right now that not everyone will enjoy the movie, not 90% of the people will enjoy it. I don't even think 80% of people will enjoy it, so that's why I gave it a 7.25. And I think that's definitely a fair score to give it, in my opinion. I wouldn't give it any less, I wouldn't give it any higher. Even though my mind does want me to give it a lower score, it doesn't deserve it. It's just because I'm a little bit disappointed from the movie, that's all. And if you're super excited for the movie, just bear in mind, just lower your expectations a bit. Just a tiny bit, just so you enjoy the movie a bit more. And expect that last third sequence to be just all action. Expect it. So that's it. That's the movie review. Sloppy one, I'm sorry. I just got back from the midnight release. I will see you next time for another movie review. My next one will probably be actually Wolverine. That and Thor are probably my next two most anticipated movies of the year after The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug, and that's probably going to be my next one. So, I will see you for more reviews and stuff. Goodbye.